Hello there, kia ora. So, you want to make a submission for the Fast Track Approvals Bill, which submissions close on Friday, and you're not quite sure what to do or what to say. So, I thought I'd put together a little bit of a how to guide on what you can do to get there to make a submission, but also some of the things that you might want to put into that submission. And getting started is actually really easy. You just go to parliament.nz, which is the website for Parliament, like it says on the tin. And from there, you find this particular picture, which will take you to a list of, well, bills that you could submit on. And it's probably a good idea to remember where this is in case there are any other bills in the future you want to submit on. From there, you click on the bill, and it'll take you through and ask a couple of questions, like whether or not you're doing this as an organization or an individual, if you want to make an oral submission as well as a written submission, and then some personal details so they confirm you are who you say that you are. And from there, you're asked what you want them to know and what your recommendations are. And this is where things get really kind of simplified if you know what it is that you want to say. Now, there's a really important thing to remember here as well. Your voice is the most important part of what you write. You see, when it comes to like mass produced, almost word for word copies that get submitted, MPs who have to read through these tend to gloss over them because, well, they don't bring anything new, they don't offer any kind of new perspective. They just show that there might be an organization like the Taxpayer Union, for example, that have given people a form to fill out and send, and there's no actual thought that's gone into the process, just anger going, oh, I don't like this. Your voice is really important in putting across your perspective, and that's what MPs need to be able to see to make, hopefully, robust, fairer decisions for everybody. And there is a lot about this bill that you could put in there, and it's up to you whether or not you have a ton of stuff or only a little bit of stuff. And there's a ton of resources online that can help you, like Forest and Bird, or Kiwis Against Seabed Mining, or even Greenpeace. They've all got dedicated pages giving you ideas as to why they oppose this particular bill. They include things like the fact that this circumvents like 10 environmental protection laws that we already have on the cards, or that it gives the government the right to resurrect something that the judiciary has already turned down through the Supreme Court process. There's issues around democracy and the fact that this is 3 or possibly 4 MPs who have a final say without any kind of public submission process. In fact, the public won't even know what is in front of these 3 until they agree to whatever it is that they're agreeing to, which makes it really, really hard for the public to get involved, which is really anti-democratic. There are issues around the fact that there's an advisory board for this that these MPs don't have to listen to. There's an issue around the fact that these MPs have already shown that they are not insusceptible to lobbying groups. If you just ask Shane Jones and his love of oysters and wine from the fishing industry and how that goes for them. There are a number of issues like that. But there's also issues around environmental protections themselves. What are the impacts that this could have on our natural environment? And most importantly, there is a really big issue around Tiriti or Waitangi. By not having a process that allows submissions, that allows interaction or feedback or takes on board anything that like concerns from iwi, because it's all about economic outcomes, that could be seen as a serious, serious problem when it comes to Te Tiriti or Waitangi and the partnership that that promises. There's also issues around the fact that this could be in breach of a number of international trade laws that we have to deal with. But there's a whole bunch of worms in a can that this opens, and that is of concern. When it comes to recommendations, you can recommend pretty much anything that you want. You could recommend that they drop the bill altogether, that they just throw it out, it's not worth looking at. But you could also make recommendations around transparency, around preferred outcomes, around the priorities that these MPs look into. It's entirely up to you. And again, your voice is really, really important here. And finally, when you've made your decisions and you've written down everything that you want to write down, hit the submit button. You'll get an email within a matter of minutes saying, hey, confirmed your submission has been accepted. And that's that. Now, if you choose to do an oral submission, they'll contact you and try to organize a time when they are doing that. And it's always a good idea if you're doing an oral submission to make sure you've got notes in advance, that you know what it is that you want to say and you can answer questions, because there are bound to be questions that come from the MPs on this particular select committee. It sounds big and daunting, but realistically, the crux of it is get your voice across to make sure that your concerns are noted. And it's not just for this bill, it's for any bill that you want to comment on or want to offer feedback on. And it's thoroughly, thoroughly important that you do have those feedback options. You might not necessarily want to or feel compelled to make a feedback, but not having those options is a scary thought, and we've just had 100 odd days where that was not really an option for a lot of New Zealanders. So make sure you have your say. Submissions close tomorrow, Friday, depending on when you're watching this video. So please get in there, have your say. It's super easy. And once it's done, at least you can turn around and say you tried your best.